You guys want to hear another false tradition of man that many members of the church believe? That tradition is that when you were baptized and confirmed a member of the church, you received the Holy Ghost. The baptisms of fire and baptism of the Holy Ghost, as described in the Book of Mormon, is an intense process of sanctifying your soul that's oftentimes painful and testing and has a literal sensation of heat. And that is what's referred to as receiving the fullness of the Holy Ghost, that Russell M. Nelson talked about how we could receive in the temples, because the temple endowment is teaching us how to sanctify ourselves so we can approach the Lord at the veil. According to David A. Bednar, following our baptism, each of us had hands placed upon our head by those with priesthood authority and was confirmed a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the Holy Ghost was conferred upon us. The statement, receive the Holy Ghost, in our confirmation was a directive to strive for the baptism of the Spirit, meaning you didn't receive it yet. And according to Elder Lynn A. Meckelson, as soon as the commitment is made, that is when the cleansing process begins, meaning when you are truly converted unto Christ and have sufficient faith, then that is when it begins to happen. And I invite all of you, if you want to receive that, to ask the Lord what you need to do and to be willing to follow his directions, because he will show you and he will sanctify you. Elsewhere, David A. Bednar said, the gate of baptism leads us to the straight and narrow path, and to the destination of putting off the natural man and becoming a saint through the atonement of Christ the Lord. The purpose of our mortal journey is not to merely see the sights on earth and expend our allotment of time on self-centered pursuits. Rather, we are to walk in a newness of life and become sanctified by yielding our hearts unto God, and to obtain the mind of Christ. So the mind of Christ is when you receive the baptism of the Holy Ghost. And the sanctification is the baptisms of fire, which commences in you receiving the Holy Ghost, when you are sanctified and purified by it. So then you have God, Christ, dwell within you, right? Marion G. Romney taught that the baptism of fire by the Holy Ghost converts us from carnality to spirituality. So one of the symptoms is that people literally will lose this desire to sin because they will become so focused on this spiritual aspect. But oftentimes there's a lot of testing where you will be tested when you are receiving further light and knowledge. And in Doctrine and Covenants 93, which is a temple endowment chapter, and promises that all men who sanctify themselves can see the Lord and know that he is, also describes receiving the fullness of Christ within us, grace for grace, the same way he received the fullness of the Father, and describes those who receive these endowments of power as the church of the firstborn,